Coming up this week on the Irreverent Nerds podcast, Will and I sit down to talk with California-based filmmaker Chris Mackey. Also, halfway through the episode, we have a surprise guest, so don't miss out on that. All these things and more coming right after this. I'm Richard.
And I'm Will.
And together we're
The Irreverent Nerds. Bum, bum, bum.
Welcome back, nerds.
Nerds, what's up?
Today we are going to interview Chris Mackey. Now, I'd like to just jump into things. Before we jump into things, is there anything I'm forgetting to do, Richard?
No, just let's introduce our guest or let him introduce ourselves. And by the way, Will's kind of running the show today. He's going to be the interviewer, and I'm going to be Will. So,
Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, here we go. I've made 43 projects. Most are on IMDb. I started off being an actor. Well, started off being a monster. Ron Ford, very famous B-movie director. Hollywood Mortuary and Deadly Scavengers, which is about a giant cockroach. So most of his friends are 5'8", 5'7". I am 6'2". Okay. They had already ordered the cockroach costume. So I fit it. And so I played a giant cockroach in that. And then one of the nights I played a gray alien because I fit in the costume. That's where I started from. And then I did a lot of like mad scientists. I have like a look where everybody else is in their 30s, and short. And I'm tall and old. So I got to play a lot of like mad scientists and, the scary, older, creepy guy. My last two films, I just filmed 2 films in a row starring again, which I thought I was out of because I need to show you my trajectory of roles. But the last 2, I played a child serial killer and a ghost. And one of them's out, the other one's still in post-production. But so
okay, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, again, the way I look is totally different than most of the local talent. So so I started off acting, and then I didn't like what I was getting, so I started writing scripts. And then some of those I had to direct myself just because that's the way it happened. Then I discovered producing. Producing's my love. I love producing. It scares a lot of people, but out of the 43 films that I've worked on, I own 13.
Nice.
So producing intellectual properties. Anyway, does that help out at all?
Yeah, that helps out quite a bit.
Okay.
I'm sorry we weren't able to watch any of your films except for that cartoon prior to.
Everybody loves the cartoon. Let me tell you about my 3 top films then. How about that? Here's my 3 top films that people need to watch. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 1, Soldado Lobo. It's about a border guard, okay, that gets bitten by a Texas Ranger. He happens to be a werewolf. And the border guard comes from, instead of being evil, he becomes a nice border guard and he lets people cross the border. I don't know why it trends, but it trends. The second most popular one is probably Firefighter. It's about a fireman that gets, he's supposed to save a cat. Instead, he falls on it and crushes it to death. Well, it was a witch's cat. So she turns him into a half dragon man. And we got to use a whole we filmed on weekends, of course, but on Sundays the town rolls up the carpets just like small towns do, and we got to use the whole downtown. And he killed like 8 or 9 people, just without permit. It was fun. And then let me see, I would say Firefighter 2 is probably the second one. And that's about a forest ranger who accidentally trespasses on Indian burial grounds and he gets turned into a dragon. And we filmed that at a convention without, much notice except for the promoter. We didn't warn any of the cosplayers or anything, and we killed 89 people in public.
Oh,
It was awesome. Those are my probably most popular movies. Those are like all on YouTube. So,
have you ever had the cops called on you for doing that? It's like, wait, why are you shooting people in public?
We were doing one, which as that whole production was weird. It was called Wolf Vet versus Cyborg. So it was our local cosplayer that had a mecha or whatever, a metallic cosplay, like a robotic cosplay.
Mhm.
And we had him get beat up by one of my werewolves. And the cops came by every half an hour. We filmed it at a Veterans Memorial thing that had huge monuments to every war. And so it was and in the middle was a sphere of the world. And so it was kind of like the robot was trying to make the spear roll down the street and all that kind of stuff. And the wolf was stopping them. We used Nerf guns. It was awesome. But the cops came by every half hour to check on us. We were good.
Yeah,
I own all that. I don't like anybody to take responsibility for something that I set up, especially when somebody's dressed as a robot and a werewolf. You don't want them talking to the cops. Yeah, it's inhibiting.
So what genre are those films?
That's a great question too, because people say they're horror movies, and I don't think they are. I think they're action adventures with everything's got a message. Most of my casting is multiracial. I hate when Caucasians are the heroes and everybody else is the bad guy. In my movies, Caucasians are the bad guys and everybody else is the heroes. So you can kind of tell that political thing, which we're going to avoid, right? But I mean, that's my filmic agenda, and nobody else was doing it. So I would swear by action adventure, but most people say they're monster movies. So, it's werewolves and dragons.
I guess it depends on the degree of gore you get in there, right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Well, now what you had been telling us about with Doc Savage, do you want to talk about that?
I would like to preface that by a character that people might or might not be familiar with, if they don't read novels, then they've completely forgot about him, because I bet you guys are younger than 1975.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when a movie came out about this character. But this character in 1935 was the very first superhero. He was 5 years before Superman and Batman. They both, in the comic books, now he was in novels, okay? In the comic books, they stole his stuff. They stole his Fortress of Solitude. They stole like his car idea and all that kind of stuff. And he beat them out by 5 years, but it was in novels and they were in comic books. That's how you get away with that stuff. Besides the fact, when you're creating art, you're not going to read the other guy's stuff. You're going to do your own thing. But let me show you something. See, so this is a comic book from 1966.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Now, if you look at it, you're thinking, okay, well, that looks like a novel cover. Yes, it is, because there's an actor that you're too young to remember, but you might remember because he was in a cult film. There's an actor called Chuck Connors. He played the rifleman, and he was in Tourist Trap. He was in Charles Band's Tourist Trap, which is Demi Moore's, I think, first film.
Okay. Sounds familiar.
So they were going to do this Gold Key comic book company did adaptions. So they're working on the comic book, right? And then the script is ready and the stars attached to the movie, and then it fell through. It went in what they call turnaround, which is like it's never going to see the light of day. So they already had the comic book ready to go. So what they did is they substituted the novel covers and stuff. It has no ads. A comic book with no ads. You know what? Because it was supposed to have 8x10s and stuff like that from the movie. Like behind the scenes stuff and all that. They don't have any of that, so it's all illustrations and stuff.
It's
And
almost
Cool.
first trade
yeah,
paper. Almost.
as a comic book nerd, you might have heard of Jack Sparley. He did a lot of like really. Some people love his stuff, some people don't love his stuff, but he did the inside artwork on that. It's different. It's good. It almost looks like Chuck Connors though, but so they still had to come out with the comic book, but the movie never happened. And then in 1975, there was a movie called Doc Savage. But the trouble was they did it like the Batman 66 series. That
Oh, right.
wow. Like
So they make it real
there's martial arts scenes. Yeah. Yeah, there's martial arts scenes. And they do word balloons to say which techniques he's using, you know. And when it's like a car is screeching, they do like word balloons, like, you know, you hear it and you see the stupid, you know, explanation like a comic book. So I think they misunderstood, you know. It started, there was a TV series called Tarzan that ran for like 5 years.
Right.
The actor was 6. Yeah. Platinum blonde hair. Okay. So he did the movie and they bronzed him up because it's Doc Savage Man of Bronze. So it failed miserably. It hurt the studio. It hurt the actor. It destroyed the producer. Never made another movie. You know, it's George Powell, War of the Worlds, and
Oh, really?
I can't think of what else.
Sounds familiar.
It's George.
Yeah.
Wow.
George Powell.
It ruined him. He had to retire because the studios are going, oh, this is the crap you're doing now, old man. You're out. You know, and they fired him. So about 12, 13 years ago, Shane Black from Predator, and he wrote a whole bunch of really cool stuff, right? He had a script for Doc Savage, Man of Bronze. He offered it to Chris Hemsworth, you know, Thor.
Yeah.
And Chris sat on it for 3 years, and it went into turnaround because of Thor taking off so much. You know, actors want to work, so he thought he could do it. And in 3 years, he never got the opportunity to make the movie. So for the next 7 years, he was dropped in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's lap, and he was all excited, you know. And the last 3 years ago, they were going to turn it into a TV series. And he goes, guys, have you seen my schedule? I can't do it. I have to walk away. That was 12, almost 13 years ago. So Chris Mackey is critiquing the Asylum movies and Charles Band movies on IMDb and Amazon. You know, he's working 10 years at Blockbuster. He's working 14 years at Walmart. And he has a aha moment. Hey, what if I try to make my version, a mockbuster? You know, if your lawyer's knocking on my door, it's a fan film, okay? It's a, you know.
Oh yeah,
you know,
please, you see him all the time. Like,
yeah, please don't hurt the little guy, okay? I'm just trying, you know. But I mean, I can be bigger than that little guy. But
shouldn't Doc Savage be in public domain by now?
Yeah. So I call mine Doc D-O-K Savage. Okay.
Yeah.
And I always mispronounce everything because I wanted Oliver Grenier, Replicant, and he's done a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, he's a French martial artist. He goes to a convention I go to every year called Dragon Fest. Really cool guy, but he just got a new series off the ground, so he couldn't do it. So I'm at this Dragon Fest, which has all the martial arts. Big Trouble in Little China, all the surviving cast is there. You know, any other martial arts movies. You know, all of Bruce Lee's sparring partners have a table. You know, it's such a cool convention. It's amazing. So again, let's say most Asian martial artists are like 5'8", 5'7", maybe less.
Yeah.
Here I look up and here's this bronze, here's this well-tanned, platinum blonde martial artist that is 2.5, 3 feet taller than everybody else in the room. Okay. I'm like, that's very interesting. That's Doc Savage. I don't care. I don't care how I get away with the name. Maybe his one of his parents, maybe his dad was French. I don't know. I don't care. That's minutia. That doesn't help me sell the project. So the guy I found was in Under Siege. If
Okay.
you remember Under Siege, he was Tommy Lee Jones' right hand man, a friend of Gary Busey in the script, and not of Steven Seagal. Adam, yeah. Adam's like a real good friend of Steven Seagal still. He doesn't like the Russia stuff, but other than that. Uh, so it's Adam James. And then my bad guy was in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
Oh, cool.
On the island with Johnny Depp. He's one of the native chiefs.
Oh, okay.
And also he was in Book of Boba Fett. He was like an ambassador on Book of Boba Fett.
Nice.
Both of these guys are okay. So Americus Abasamas is a sumo wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Adam James is a practitioner of like probably 7 different techniques. That's an interesting situation when you get 2 leads in bad like that. They can go, okay, and we need them to go. So I'm real excited. Everybody's on board with what we're trying to do, but so anyway, so it's an action adventure series that we're working on. We have 3 episodes.
Yeah, I was wondering what genre it was. So it's action adventure.
So it is. I would say it's
Yeah.
action adventure with some sci-fi.
Oh, okay, cool.
Will, I hate labels like that though, because it's like, how many people did we just turn away?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm getting feedback now, and it's been compared. If you watch the trailer, they call it a Christian Doc Savage or a Christian superhero because he says he does a thing that he owes some of his superness to God. And
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
See,
I thought I might ask about it.
Doc Savage is 90 years old. Okay, he's been around for 90 years, and people go,
"Oh, the character, right?"
200 and something books. He never gave acknowledgement to any higher above person or thing. Okay, and we do. So I'm like, well, guess what? You're paying attention. I love you for that. Okay. And then a couple of days ago, somebody compared it to more. They go, it's more like MacGyver. Your pilot's more like MacGyver. I go, oh, really? Cha-ching. Like,
That's
that ain't
not a
bad.
bad thing.
I'll take that.
No, you're talking about the original, yes, not the debacle that came out a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't watch debacles too much. I've been known to make up a debacle or two, but but anyways, but no, it's the original kind of because he does stuff. He does stuff. We have a great car. The Docmobile. I nicknamed it Black Obsidian. It's a 50th
cool.
anniversary. The 50th anniversary Mustang. Okay, when those rolled off, they were in white and blue. This one was special ordered in black. It's the only one. So the Docmobile gets almost as much feedback online as the actors do. So I'm real happy with casting and all that kind of stuff. It's neat. The budget's not what it could be, but I think we're gonna get there. And I've never said that before. Usually I'm like, watching the pennies and the dimes, but this time around, I think we got something special,
Great.
We'll see.
Yeah. Now, this is in connection with Indiegogo, is that correct? Or is connected to that?
We're doing Indiegogo. My soul wanted to go like GoFundMe or something like that, please, but we have great prizes on Indiegogo. And what I've told everybody, and actually, let me tell your listeners this too. If you private message me or the Doc Savage page that you watch this podcast and you donate to Indiegogo, I'll send you more than is on Indiegogo. I have tons of prizes for people. I've been
Nice.
doing this for years. I got goodies galore. It's like,
Speaking of goodies, I hear there are action figures.
yes. So there was an action figure before there was a movie. Like, I found some, and what they are is like refurb customs. Okay. But some of them are really, really cool. And we've got 4 of them that we're going to offer on Indiegogo. I made 16, but I started off as a cartoonist in high school and stuff like that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and then I found friends and stuff like that starving as much as I was. Nobody's buying our stuff, so
Yeah.
I started publishing. I started drawing less and publishing more. And we were part of the black and white boom of the 90s, which hopefully you're around for. Yeah, that was a fun time, man.
I definitely read some black and white indie comics.
Yeah, we did really good. You know what? We were more popular on the East Coast at colleges than we were on the West Coast. So, but funny animals, superheroes, sci-fi. But I published 37 issues, and I always say
that's very interesting to me.
Most of my enterprises haven't made a lot, but I don't lose either. I usually break even pretty good, and if I can keep out there, I always wonder how much my stuff is still out there or in bargain bins or something like that. I have there's Red Wave Comics, Fresno State College. Their mascot's a bulldog, and I wanted to call it Bulldog Comics, and I ran it by Fresno State College. And they're like, nah, now that's a gang. It's a real. Oh yeah, it's like a cartel of gang. Gang cartel. Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought you were being joking. Okay.
No, they're scary. They're scary people. It's California.
Yeah, well, the closer you get to the border down there, more like you.
It's like Texas. It's loose and goosey. The Wild West. But they let me call it Red Wave Comics, and we did really good with it. I found out it's on eBay too. I found Mile High Comics has it and eBay, but on eBay it's funny. It's like $30 to $100 and something, and I'm like, whatever. And it's like I know they stole them out of like libraries that I donated them to, because what I mean. It's the 90s. How much of that survives? So, yeah.
But you got a few that made it out, like what, TMNT, right? Will kind of out of that.
Yeah, exactly. And there was good stuff. And most of it was like anthologies, and it was hit and miss. But the covers are really, really good. We had one of the covers had a nipple slip and a
nipple slip. What is sponsor. That?
So it was drawn with stuff exposed on the female pilot.
Oh, okay.
And it got distributed.
Literally nipple slip.
I think that's why it has appeal to it, because that issue still goes okay. Like I said, I think that's the one that's in the hundreds. She's gorgeous. She's like a Asian pilot in on the side of her ship. Her airplane is a Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola sponsored that issue. Marvel Comics, Marvel Comics. If you ran ads for Marvel Comics, I owned 2 comic stores too at the time. I kind of left that out.
Cool.
But they would pay you for whatever your ads were going in free comic books, Marvel comic books. So I always ran an ad for Marvel Comics, and I try to get somebody else to kick in too, so I didn't have to do too much. But yeah, that issue is kind of a big deal. Yeah, I think I gave away all my copies, but it's like I said, it's on eBay, and it's on Mile High. Still has a few of them. They have everybody's comic books.
Well, that's really interesting. I'm not sure if we should get into that right now, but I'd love to see some of your work sometime if you still had any copies left over.
I can get you like, I think I have a couple that I wanted to get it slabbed. The copies that I could find, I want to get them slabbed, and a lot of them have sun stuff on them.
Yeah, maybe just send me a photo, really, but Uh,
You want to
yeah,
see the
I'm
nipple
sure you
slip?
don't have a lot left.
Will, you want to see that nipple slip, don't you?
No, I
Oh
want to
boy.
see the funny animals.
I'm sorry. The anime girl in the ship with the Coca-Cola logo. That's what you want to see.
But now,
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure,
now you,
I
Will.
wonder how Coca-Cola felt about the nipple slip.
You know what? I didn't send him a copy.
You didn't? Okay.
like, wow,
Are
this
you
is
kidding? I never. Whenever I reach that far out, I'm gonna be on off the radar after that. I just want, I just want to make my book, or I want to make my movie. You know, I want to stay off that radar. So
yeah.
anyway,
Well, now,
is
like,
that me?
I still don't see him
Oh,
on.
no. I got it. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That sounds like an
Oh,
old. Is that a corded phone? A landline? Oh, we lost your audio there, Chris. Hmm.
can't hear me?
There we go.
Oh,
There,
we can hear you now.
came back.
Okay, sorry about that. I may not have been talking.
I think you were, but yeah, we just lost you for like
Yeah,
30 seconds there.
we're back.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like you're back.
All right.
I know now in the comics, like I still don't see it on the covers, I don't think, but like you have all kinds of nudity now, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
It's I don't know. I mean, you're trying to sell something, whatever sells. Like I said, and that was early anime kind of style, so it looked pretty good. Luckily, But yeah, that one was done. A newspaper could print off little, like a 3,000 print run.
yeah,
For I think I paid like 500 for 3,000 copies. That's a pretty good deal
yeah,
back in the day. But again, we're talking in the 90s. So, I got kind of by 2000, I was out of everything. So I had to
okay.
start all over again. But that's when the movies came in. I switched gears, and I've done 15 conventions too since then. So,
Cool.
I've always kept busy ish. Sorry, Will. I talk too much.
No, that's fine. You're doing great. You're doing great. I don't talk enough sometimes.
Well, we'll see. What gossip? Do we want to do gossip? What do you want to do?
Yeah, you've been around Hollywood for a while there, or do you actually
A
live
little bit.
near
A
Hollywood, or
little bit.
are you in LA
Yeah.
County, or
I'm what they call central. See, that's the thing.
Hollywood?
I
Okay,
was going to ask about that.
yeah,
We're from our area is Fresno to Bakersfield. That's right in the middle of California.
okay,
We make at least 8 movies a year here. Okay. And Hollywood comes up here for locations a lot.
I bet.
Okay. Because you can afford it. Yeah. Um, right now, I'm with a nonprofit called CMAC.
Oh,
I don't
cool.
know how to spell all the initials, but they for $50 a year, you have free reign to all of their equipment, their whole building. When you watch the Doc Savage pilot, you know, you could see we used everything that we could get, and they were so in shock because they're used to like documentaries and public affairs. Here's these people like karate chopping and throwing each other around in the couch and stuff like that. It was a different experience for them, I think. I'm used to it. It's like I don't get shocked by nothing anymore.
Now, are there any Chuck Norris vibes at all with the martial art?
So that was another pushback that we got. So why didn't I let my guy? He has a thing in the beginning. See, Doc Savage created. I'm sorry, backing up. Doc Savage created the Fortress of Solitude. Okay,
Yeah,
that was his idea.
Uh-huh.
So we have a copper Yoda Fortress of Solitude, and that's where Doc does all of his working out and stuff like that. And then so that's you see that part, and then there's like a little bit. Actually, the female lead.
Hey, Richard.
Huh?
Can you send a Zoom link to Dan? I think he's trying to get on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, get
Yeah,
him over here.
he's calling me, but I'm on my phone, so I don't want to switch over to talk to him right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me,
See, Will,
let me drop
I'm
in.
in the same way. But anyway, we're gonna have a lot more martial arts.
Great.
Besides the fact that the bad guy is a sumo wrestler and the good guy has like 7 different techniques of martial arts. You know, we're gonna film like a fight. We've been talking about it. We're gonna recreate the. Oh no, he's trying to get me to call. I shouldn't do that.
I'm sorry I declined on him. I just didn't want to talk to him during the recording.
I think I'm gonna do the same thing. Can you, if we can get him on here?
What we can do actually, I can, because most of our episodes are about an hour long. So what we can do is we can end this.
Yeah.
We're about 25, 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Good spot for a break, with commercials and stuff and whatnot in an episode. And then we can
commercials,
yeah, so to speak. We do our own.
I say product placement.
Yeah. No,
Brown table pizza. We love you.
No, we would love to get some legit sponsors.
I snuck that in there. Sorry, I feel bad.
Yeah, we can pause on this, and then we can with our second segment we can bring Dan in for that. So
sounds great.
Let's do that.
Hey nerds, Richard here, asking you to consider supporting our podcast. Just go to www.irreverentnerds.com and click on the Support This Podcast button. There you will find 3 support tiers, 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, and $9.99 a month. And nerds, check this out. Beginning in April of 2023, we will be offering rewards to anyone who supports us at the $4.99 or $9.99 tiers. So keep an ear out for that news. We will be announcing it during the first episode of April. Live long and prosper, fellow nerds, and thank you for listening. Now back to this week's episode.
Hey Dan, welcome to back to our podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Greetings.
Pleasure to be here again, as always. This is the 3rd time, right?
Right, and sorry for the scheduling
the
step.
All I know is I got off of work and they're like, "You guys want to join a meeting?" I'm like, "What? Okay, sure." I apologize about the lighting. This is not done to be creepy or anything like that. It's just,
you shaved too.
Actually, Dan does want to be creepy. That's what he's going for.
I did.
Will didn't.
Will looks like
I shaved my neck.
Now Will's beard is always
don't stick up for him.
Will's beard is always very precise. He's got the lines like mine just kind of goes where it wants. Yeah.
Like normal. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if I did that, I'd only have stubble down here, and it just doesn't look good.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
sure. Yeah.
Isn't it weird that we can grow hair on our faces? By the way, that's weird, isn't it? Sorry.
It is kind of weird when you think about it.
All right, so Will, you
We're
had
talking about weird hair because I got some places I could share, but
No, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm not.
A lot of moose
You will never see me shirtless on this podcast. We'll put it that way.
Not on the podcast. We worked out together. The why, man, you are Bigfoot.
Yeah, I got the shoulder wings and everything. Gotta whack that sucker.
save it for the charity calendar. I'm already getting prepared for that. So yeah.
The irreverent.
Audio. God.
I'm gonna be Mr. October, so there you go. Something you ladies to look forward to.
There you go. All right. Let's get back on topic here. So we're here to talk to Mr. Chris Mackey, and Will had a question for him. So Will, you want to take back over? Will's our host, by the way. I'm kind of playing sidekick co-host today.
So Chris mentioned earlier that you, Dan, had written a number of his films. Is that correct?
Yes, I've been working with Chris probably since around 2002, I think 2002, 2001. It's been a while.
Boot Hill Blind Dead.
Yeah, Boot Hill Blind Dead, The Handsome Stranger, which is
Yeah,
that was longer than the actual movie, I think, but it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still a classic.
20th anniversary.
Yes,
I think I'm gonna put it on Blu-ray.
I would, man. It's a classic right there.
Yeah.
I was proud about that. I remember my big contribution to that was getting Gold Town to let us use some of the music for it.
Yeah. That was weird. And it was for copies of the movie. That was it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. I
So
told you,
see,
man, I know how to handle this stuff. I know how to get stuff going. So there you go.
I see
They
an
said
IMDb
all
here
your
is
shots
loosely
are
based on that.
shots.
Oh, sorry. Is it loosely based on the Undead series of films, but with an American
The
Western?
Blind Dead. The Blind Dead, the
Ah.
Spanish and German or Spanish and Italian. Armando Osorio stuff. Yeah.
Back in the
We did the first one in America.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a horror Western too. So kind of cool.
Yeah, that's not something. I don't know if I've ever seen a horror Western. Now that I think about it.
Oh God, there's like
I have.
100.
Have you?
There's like almost 100 of them. John Carpenter, almost all John Carpenter stuffs are horror Westerns.
I saw a reverent religious horror western with Jesus fighting zombies in the Wild West. It was weird.
I heard about that. I want to see that. I always heard about that one. Any good? Who wins?
It was well made.
Who wins?
Depends on whether or not you're offended by that sort of thing, I guess.
Does the Buddha pop up in that one?
No.
Yeah.
No, I still remember that Japanese anime. Sorry, what were you saying, Chris?
He's in Doc Savage, Buddha.
Oh, is he
Oh yeah.
the Buddha?
Which
Yeah.
Buddha? The skinny Buddha or fat Buddha?
The sumo Buddha.
Sumo Buddha. Okay.
A little
Are you back,
different
Dan?
Yeah, is that better, guys? Or
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Dave.
that's much better.
Yeah.
okay, sorry about that. You're talking about horror westerns. Was it Curse of the Undead? It's the one about the vampire gunslinger. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not embarrassing. And the leads have gone on to do a lot better stuff too, but they're kind of proud of that. So it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remembered we didn't talk about that cartoon earlier. Did you want to say a
Yeah.
few words about how that got made and
Yeah.
anything interesting to say about that?
Well, Dan and I co-wrote it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And what the thing was, there's a lot of different things to it. It involved one of my dragons and it involved one of my werewolves. Okay. And it's basically, it's a friend of, I have a friend in town that he builds the heads for Migos, the action figures.
Yeah.
And his daughter was at Cal Arts, which is like a big, college for taking, Lucas went there, Spielberg went there. It's
Cool.
It's a jumping off point. And she needed a master project. And I needed a cartoon because cartoons are cool. So she did it she got an A, and we have an amazing cartoon. There's vampires, werewolves, dragons. Oh, in the White House. So,
What is this?
The president and the vice president are both vampires. Huh, Dan?
Did you see that, Richard?
Are we getting political, or you mean the cartoon? I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry.
This Cyborg versus Wolf Vet, is that it?
No. That's
No, I'm just
a
looking
wolf
through your
and a dragon
IMDb.
go
I
to
was trying to figure out what. So what's the
Yeah.
name of the
Wolf and a dragon go to Washington.
Is that named after that old movie about
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, it
The
goes to
Jimmy Stewart?
Washington.
Yeah. Oh,
Love
yeah.
that movie. That's a good
Well,
movie.
Whoops. That's
I
a
think
coincidence.
I think you killed my idea. I wanted it to originally be titled "Mr. Cheney Goes to Washington."
Yeah, no. I kill a lot of your ideas. You're a weirdo.
You killed Fang and the Furious, which was one of my best titles. I mean, Fang and the Furious was awesome.
That one's not bad. That one wasn't bad.
It didn't suck, but you know.
But Boot Hill Blind Dead is an amazing title, you know. And then we were going to re-release it. Was it Boot Hill Blind Dead? Something that? Oh no, the Tombstones of Boot Hill Blind Dead was like a sequel, I think. That didn't go off, but I mean, it's just a great title too. So.
Well, I was going to say, don't forget the original concept was the short film ended up being a short film, but it was originally going to be a wraparound or an anthology because we had 3 other horror stories that would be set with the Western horror theme.
Well, we had a sequel all set up to go for like 40K.
Yeah.
And it fell through. But it happens. There have been a few of them.
But let's see, it was Athena Demas was in that one, and Ron played the Barker.
Yeah. He said it was some of his best acting, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she, like I said, he's still doing stuff, and then she's like a big deal because she does like fans only stuff and something else. I mean, she's still like a big deal, you know. Yeah. It's weird.
I see that she was
Very
in
underground.
Sing Along
Very
Blog. Is
underground.
that right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Your lighting keeps on getting better and better, and I keep on seeing less of that hair. That moose is bothering me.
I just got a shave, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got my haircut and everything. So
I can tell.
Yeah.
So, do y'all want to give a plot synopsis to one of the films that you made together?
No. Yeah.
No. Okay.
Well, Boot Hill Blind Dead. Like I said, originally the idea was going to be a anthology of horror Western tales. And the wraparound story was it was called The Handsome Stranger. It was about a young woman that goes to a Western fair and goes to the sideshow where there's the mummified corpse of a serial killer that had the nickname The Handsome Stranger because he would ride up on these lonely ranches where the men had gone off on cattle drives or way on business and basically worm his way into working as a ranch hand and then would end up killing the women that were in the on these homes. And the story goes that when he was finally captured, he was jailhouse bragging to the sheriff that took him in about all the women that he had and how he always took a prize from them. He'd always take a piece of their clothing. And when the sheriff checked his duffel bag, he found this wad of clothing and undid it, and it was like 240 some pieces of women's clothing, indicating he had killed like 240 women. And the legend has it that the sheriff basically got on his horse, rode out of town, and as he left, he was basically telling the menfolk, "He's yours. Do what you want." So he was hung, left as a very, very twisted landmark for the town, and then about a year later, the Smoot Brothers Wild West show came and took the bodies and exhibit and have been traveling around the United States for about 150 years. The legend has it that as long as you're not alone, the handsome stranger will not come for you. So as long as you're with somebody, you're safe. But of course, that's not the case in our story. So
Ah.
It's amazing. It's 20 years old, but I mean, it still is creepy as hell.
I think so too.
You've got a really good knack at writing things.
Yeah.
Of course, I knew that, but working with you, Dan. But might I say, that's a good story.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, man.
Did y'all co-write? Was that on?
No. That was all Dan.
Okay.
That was all Dan. Yeah. Yeah. That was an amazing. It could have been more. Like I said, we had like 2 sequels that we had going, but the producer ended up disappearing, and it was weird.
Oh.
This happened.
Tombstones of the Blind Dead. 2016. I saw it on
Yeah.
Ron Ford's IMDb. Did that
Yeah.
actually get made all the way? Or
No,
didn't?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
it was definitely going to be an anthology,
Mhm.
and they took too long, and I got cranky, so the project fell apart.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was going to include ours because our acting was so good, you know, and some of the special effects were from Hollywood and stuff like that. It had a great look to it, you know.
Nice.
It hasn't been streamed in years. It's only on DVD, and then I'm gonna blow it up on Blu-ray. I think, you know,
cool.
see what happens. Try
Do
it.
you want to talk a little bit about the project that led the blood drive, the our Saw on Wheels?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if y'all. I knew you worked on that, Dan. I wasn't sure if Chris worked on that or not. I think he just
like
knows
it,
the guy, right?
I did the public relations on it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because we actually we worked on an outline, and what it was going to be a story about this guy that wakes up in a garage with this woman that he's never met before, and this mysterious voice that talks to them via video monitor, telling them that the time has come for them to pay for their sins, and basically them and three other teams are going to be going on this very twisted scavenger hunt that's going to allow them to revisit all their different sins, the things that they had done, and there were time limits, so there was a race involved for all four of these teams. And Chris talked to the two producers of Blood Drive, and I remember it was funny because he called me and he said they're interested, but they want to know, can one of the teams be a group of vampires or a group of monsters? And I said, we've done this thing that's basically like Saw on Wheels, and they want drag racing vampires. And he's like, yeah, drag racing vampires. Can you do that? And I'm like, I'm up for it. Let's do it. So Blood Drive, that's how Blood Drive came about. But I still want to do the Saw on Wheels movie. I think that's got a lot of possibilities.
Yeah. So, Will, there's 2 blood drives that we're involved in, you know, and then there was a TV series that ripped off elements of what we had accomplished.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then it got canceled, and then ours is still there. The trailer for our movie stars Shotzi Blackheart from WWE, and
Oh, okay, cool.
Jesselyn Michelle, who's a MMA fighter. That's been like 250,000 views on YouTube. And then there was a short film done that stars David Stay from oh God, what was the TV? Oh, Photon, the Photon children's show in the 80s. It stars him, and it's really cool to see that people love it. But again, Dan's sitting on a comic book that we don't know if that's ever going to come out, you know, for a lot of different reasons. We don't know.
Blood Drive comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point I was lettering that, but I didn't hear anything more about it. I think someone else started lettering it because I was going through a depression, so that didn't come out.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject. We can't really talk too much about that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's too bad. I
Yeah,
always assumed it came out.
It looked beautiful, you know. Bennett's what's
Rodney
his
Bennett.
first name? Dan?
Rodney Bennett.
Rodney Bennett
Yeah.
is gorgeous, you know. And
Richard.
it has, the
I'd
idea
like to
has
have Ronnie on one day, by the way.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say Will knows Rodney. We've had lunch at Pioneer several times and done cons together. So
Yeah, that's one of those sore spots. It's just a shame, you know.
yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah.
One of these days.
well, that's too bad. That's too bad.
I'm a firm believer in that.
It's we're like at 90%, I think, you know, give or take in the next year or two. We'll see how that turns out. You know,
Okay.
like you know, it needs advertising, I think, you know.
Oh yeah.
Which everything needs advertising. It's a sad word like that, but yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Do we even want to talk about Fright Force 2021 or
No.
okay?
You're a
That's my
bad.
best. That's my best script, though. That actually was my best script. So Chris and I think we play off each other really well, because I'll come up with an idea and he's like, "That's the most brilliant thing I've ever heard," and I'm like, "Thank you," and I stretch my ego. But no, we're on the same page a lot of times as far as what we want to do creatively, and I think a lot of it's driven by a mutual love of B movies, horror films,
Yeah.
just classic movies in general, and just a
Cool.
love of storytelling. So yeah.
Yeah, Dan likes to write stuff he hasn't seen before, which is awesome. That's a great goal. Like in Doc Savage, he did a submarine scene. I go,
Yeah.
huh? Dan, you know me. We're making a good
Your
submarine.
thoughts only, right?
And actually, we got the submarine.
What?
Woohoo.
I had to put the kibosh on all the teenage girls he writes in the scripts,
Cool.
but that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, same, huh? Write what you like. That's all I know. Baby. Well, no. I know. What Doc Survives. The only thing I was upset about was we had a great opening where we introduced our driver, Doc's driver, and he sees himself as being like this ladies' man, and he's got no game whatsoever. He's got no game.
So he's
And
basically
we
me.
tried to pick up a couple of hitchhikers, and Chris got back to me saying, "We can't do the hitchhikers. We can't cast them." And I'm like, "Okay, we can't do this thing with a car." And I'm like, "What can we do?"
Yeah, that's usually our biggest conversation. What can we do?
And now,
he-
now you got to admit, I did come up with a good solution for the submarine. I did come up for a good solution with the submarine if we couldn't do it.
We have one. We have some really good stuff. Yeah, I think we're good to go on that one. Luckily,
But I said what we do is we have a conference room with like a lot of heavy machinery in the background, the sound effects, and just have a comment made about stabilize the submarine. We're heading out to open water. So
yeah.
basically, if you can't show it, mention it, and then
Sure.
go from there.
Yeah.
I'm being taped. I'm just gonna answer. Next question.
Oh. So I'm curious, what Chris, like what is the, I guess, is it up near Fresno, kind of the B movie culture, if you will, there in Hollywood? Like what's that like in your experience, like over the last 20 years?
You know what? It's weird because they're doing like about 4 or 5 westerns. They'll do a drama, they'll do a rom-com, and then there's me. They actually there's a couple horror films too. I mean, real visceral Saw type. I mean, one of the directors is really good at like just making it spurt all over the place. He likes to like sledgehammer heads and all that. He's really into that. But there's a lot. The westerns kind of like trip me out because we have a lot of like ghost town looking places. A lot of ranches have, there's a new one coming up, and he used to be a sideshow barker, and he has a whole bunch of sideshow stuff. In fact, he worked with Fredo and Ray like 3 times. He did Super Shark and Sideshow, and this is all at this guy's ranch. He has all that stuff not being used for anything. That's one of my saddest things. It's like, we have all these tools. Let's do something. I don't know how to push the buttons, but I bet you I could find somebody to push buttons.
I can write the script, and I can write the script. We can make it happen, dude.
It's really, like I said, with westerns, it'd have to be a horror western. I wouldn't want to do what they're doing. They're doing a lot of like revenge type stuff, or rom-com westerns. Like, ew. But there's a lot. They're making minimum. They're making 7 to 8 films a year here. And like I said, in Hollywood comes up 3 or 4 times a year. It's just cheaper and it's prettier and it's not overused. So yeah, it's active.
Well, plus too, I think westerns do really well. Like on Tubi, Tubi's got a ton of western films, and I think people there's still a love for westerns out there. So
yeah, which is nice. That's good. I'm a big western fan.
I want.
But
can we do a remake of the Three Stooges and Adam West film, The Outlaws Is Coming? That would be great. A comedy western would be awesome.
I would love to do that, and and it's easy to cast like that too. You know, I would love to do that,
Let's
but
do it.
I don't
We'll
know.
do it.
I don't know
I
how
mean,
that
that's
goes.
great.
See, that's again Western comedies. Is that a thing? You know, I don't
We'll
know.
make it a thing.
Oh, let's see. There's a couple from the
It'll
80s.
be a thing. Oh,
Burning
yeah.
Saddles,
It'll be a thing.
So you guys are like
Yeah,
2 or
Blazing
3 years.
Saddles.
Flaming Tales, I forget.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Blazing Saddles. Yeah, and then there was
So
another
there was a
one.
group
Is that the
called the
one?
Three Stooges. Don't even get me started with you guys. I have to
Oh,
explain everything. Stop it.
The Three Amigos.
yes,
Yes.
yes. I love that film.
There's
I'm not blaming Will's
Rustler's,
beard for everything.
Rustler's Rhapsody, which was 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
don't
Epic
think there's been too
Fallen,
much.
Million Ways to Die in the West, which was actually really funny. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But it's
think
been a while.
I saw Ridiculous 7 or something like that. Ridiculous 8, I forget. It
Yeah.
was a comedy version of
Adam
Magnificent
Sandler, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That was a recent. Yeah. Did he have like a what is it, like a 7-film deal with Netflix or something
Yes.
like that? And he's like, I guess he's coming up on number 7 here soon, I think, right?
Wow.
Jennifer Aniston got another one coming out or something,
Wow.
I think. Yeah, I do remember. I think that was that the first one he did, I think, with Netflix? That Western. Trying to remember.
That was the second one, I think. That
Second
was the second one. He did a Halloween film, which he said he threatened to make it if he didn't get nominated for he did a dramatic film, which he did a really fantastic job in.
Yeah, Uncut Gems. Mm-hmm.
Uncut Gems, yes. And he said if he didn't get nominated, he was going to make the worst film Netflix has ever shown. And I'm just like, dude, that's setting the bar too high. Because
Yeah, that would be a very dubious honor, like, because there's some crap on Netflix, that's for sure.
Crap sales.
Yeah,
It's a shirt.
well, that's why it's there. it gets streaming.
I'm just like I saw the film though, and I'm like, you cast Vanilla Ice as Mark Twain. I'm like, dude, that's just so freaking brilliant. I was like, dude, I doff my hat to you, sir. That's magnificent. That is incredible. So yes,
Vanilla Ice makes his comeback in a West. No,
okay, like stop, collaborate, and listen. Okay, let's go. So, what else do we want to talk? What else do we want to talk about? Movies.
Help me, Will. Help me.
Well, this is the part of the podcast where we've run out of questions and we're just shooting the breeze until it's over. Do you have any ideas, Richard?
yeah, I've got some questions.
Yeah.
Just looking up here. Now we are
Go,
very sorry about that. We are a very Batman friendly podcast. In fact, that's some of the very first episodes. In fact, the first episode that Will and I did together. Oh, sweet. He's got a Batman shirt. Was about Batman. And I see here that you have played Dr. Hugo Strange 4 times as an actor, Chris.
4 times, and 2 of those were in what do you call it? Web series. So there's like more appearances like that. I'm the second most used Hugo Strange. The other one was the animated one.
Oh, yes.
So
yeah, and that
why? Because I kind of look like I got rid of the beard's a whole different thing. But I usually have a beard and I don't have hair.
Like
I can do the glasses, But yeah, I can send you guys
try an accent.
All that stuff's available. Yeah. But again, okay, so Batman was 5'8", and the Joker was like 5'7", 5'6". But the Joker was the director and the writer. So, but I mean, it was good. That was kind of like the last time I quit acting was because I did a stunt, and it took 3 of them to pick me back up. Little people.
Was that on the Asylum season 2?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. It's pretty good. There's a lot of views. One of the episodes is like, again, hundreds of thousands of views because it has like the Riddler in it, Joker's in it, Hugo Strange is in it. Characters I don't even, a guy with some bandages on his face. Couldn't figure that one out. Anyway, a lot of it was based off the comic books.
Oh, Hush?
Yeah, Hush.
Yeah, Hush.
Hush
Yeah,
is an
him.
awesome.
Yeah, he has some rough scenes that it looks really painful. I don't do painful. Like, no. Yes. What else? Batman.
Well, that was definitely one that caught my attention, obviously, because I love Batman. Will does too. Like, and we grew up on TAS,
Yeah.
animated series. But
There's a feature version. They made a 90-minute movie based on the 2 seasons, and I have that. It's the best. It's really the best, and it's tight. It's edited really tight. I was like really cool about that. I loved it.
now what about I just caught the title caught my eye. Die Pig Die.
Not big die.
Oh, that's amazing film. I played a mad scientist who creates like a bride of Frankenstein. Okay. And okay, so this director only does black and white. Now he does stop motion, and he does all kinds of like forced perspective and all that. He's a genius. So amazing movie, very feminist, comfortable, it's very pro-feminist. It's amazing. His ex-wife plays the Bride of Frankenstein. So he's working on a Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers thing for the last 8 years. And I played 2 Centurions. Why? Because Centurions would be big and everything, and everybody else is 5'6", 5'7", Anyway, but so he's got this epic. I mean, it's epic. Like Buck Rogers thing.
Cool.
It looks gorgeous, but it's just, I have a real touchy subject about people not finishing their stuff. And again, so one of the roles I played in that was 7 years ago. No, it was 8 years ago. And the other one was 7 years ago. And he's still in post-production.
Wow.
He had to recast it like twice.
Oh, that's
but not me, not the old tall guy. Nobody else looks like me. It's like,
played a gray alien, as you mentioned, a monster,
Yeah.
a teacher.
So that's Alien Conspiracy, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 was filmed one night in a trailer park during the filming of Deadly Scavengers, where for 4 days in the hills of Ventura, I played a giant cockroach. And luckily, he gave me a documentary, the making of, where I could take off the head, because otherwise, for 90 minutes, it's a giant cockroach killing like 10 people. And you'll never see my face because I'm a giant cockroach. Okay. So Alien Conspiracy 1 was really cool. It has a anti-religious kind of theme. It's kind of icky, you feel dirty after you watch it. I'm the alien is like I do a what do you call it? That mother, I was gonna say Mother Teresa, but the Catholic, thing. I do like a Catholic pose before I kill him. So it looks like I'm off the cross. Yeah. And then I kill him.
Yeah, Ridley Scott likes to play with that in his Alien movies.
It's paced very kind of like, it's very ugly, but it's cool. So that was one night during the filming of Deadly Scavengers. So Part 2, Alien Conspiracy, they used the same alien on the cover, on the disc, on the menu, and I'm not in it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got no credit for it. That's about 15, about 15 years ago. The producer goes, "I'm going to reissue it. Will you do a commentary?" I go, "You know what?" All I got was like a Whopper and like a Dr. Pepper for catering. That was it. I had to be on a slant board. I couldn't sit down. It's no money. And then, like I said, then he used me for the second one without anything. I fixed it up on IMDb. I'm very good at IMDb.
Now you see,
Anyway.
you should have done the commentary and shared those kind of stories. That's what you should have done.
He would have edited it. He would have edited it. I know he would have, because I would have trashed his ass. Oops. That's 2 bad words. I would have.
What you should have done
okay.
was tell him. What you should have done was gotten money for the commentary, then go in, then do it, and if he doesn't use it, so be it.
Anyway,
Yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
it was too bad. The director felt bad that that I didn't want to do it and stuff like that. And I got and I haven't seen it come out, so it's like obviously you go through the whole cast. And I'm the one that you ended up wanting to talk to. Really?
The cockroach.
You haven't seen me in like 15, 20 years, buddy. I got kind of mean lately.
Well, guys,
I'd love to see that.
I was just gonna say we're at the 3-minute mark here.
Okay.
Dan or Will, you got anything else you want to drop in or ask Chris?
Well, I was gonna say, how far had you guys talked about Doc? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, do you want to
Briefly,
put another plug in for that at the end here? I know we talked about it a little bit in the first segment. Do you want to finish off with that, Chris?
Dan, you talk about it.
I was gonna say, Chris got me involved with it, and I'm having a blast doing it. It's I know you said somebody said it read like a comic book, and I'm like, thank you. That's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. The lead actor, Adam James, he looks like like a 70s superhero kind of, he's got that jaw and he's big. I don't have to look up to many people, and I have to look up to him. And then he's really sweet. He's
Night
like
Rider
those,
and the guy who had a baby.
yeah. He's like a walking PSA for superheroes, yeah. He's like gentle of the heart. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the key thing we wanted to do too, is we wanted to have a leading man, a main character that could be considered a paragon. I mean, this is a guy who he's a good guy, and there's no deep dark secrets hidden about him. There's nothing dark in his past. We're gonna find out he's made a few mistakes, but nothing that a normal human wouldn't have made.
Yeah.
But like I said, he's all in all just gonna be a good guy, and hopefully it's something different that I think people are hungry for. They're hungry for good entertainment, and they're hungry for honest to gosh heroes as opposed to just these flawed anti-heroes.
yeah.
So we're while we're closing up last minute here, where can they find that, or where will it be released?
Well, the idea is to go to Roku for streaming, and we want to go on Tubi because Tubi is like the #1 channel now. It's a big deal. But what happens is you have to offer it to everybody, okay? And then everybody has certain commercials, that they want to put it with your project. So we think anybody could pick it up,
Great.
It won't be YouTube, but it'll be somebody else,
We'll keep an eye out for that. Well, Chris, we got to close it up here, but thank you for coming on. And
Thank you.
That was fun, man.
And
Will, thank you.
yeah, well, you guys have a good one. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Sayonara.
Bye.
Long and prosper. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Irreverent Nerds podcast. If you would, consider following us on Instagram. We are there at irreverent_nerds. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just look us up there at the Irreverent Nerds. That's our fan page. We have a YouTube channel as well. Once again, the Irreverent Nerds. Nice and simple, right? And if you go to www.irreverentnerds.com, that will send you to our Podcasters for Spotify, formerly Anchor.fm profile, where you can send us a voice message if you want to, support us financially, or listen to the podcast. It will also direct you to other places you can listen, like Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, you name it. So, like, comment, subscribe, follow, all those good things, wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us, we would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, nerds, live long and prosper. Avengers assemble! I'm Batman.